This video is going to be rambly, but hopefully also be relatively short. I just want to go over the superstructure I built inside the base. Now, I don't know if this is me being autistic or just the way my mind works, but when it comes to these builds, building like the actual character themselves, or building something for them to sit or stand on, I have to make sure that the loads that that again, either the character or the thing that said character is sitting on can properly distribute the load. Now these life-size figurines, I can just basically base the superstructure and how it will properly handle the load just by general human anatomy and how bones work and whatnot. Basically, I just mimic the bones by using wooden dowels, and I just add little outriggers in between the dowels and the walls of the legs to keep the wooden dowels as straight as possible, and also making it so the legs don't actually just collapse when I just go to pick them up or whenever I do this to them. Granted, I didn't do that a lot around here and whatnot, so I have done a little bit of tearing, but again, this area is hidden by the dress, by the big old freaking dress, so it doesn't really matter. But when it comes to the base for Congo, this is one of my more unique cases when it comes to having to properly distribute the loads. Now, when it comes to the load distribution, I have load distribution on the plate that she sits on. I have a box spar that you can see the back of right here. The autofocus works for me. The back spar, you can see the back of the spar here, and it goes all the way to the front. And that helps distribute the load crosswise like this. I have, I believe, 4 or 5 little 90-degree angles on, and also on the top here, one here, one here, and 2 in the front that help distribute the load into the side walls in the front of the base to help make sure that this doesn't move around as much. Because as you can tell, when I go to move her around, the only thing that really moves around is Congo herself and a little bit of the base. Prior to me adding this little structure right here, this piece would constantly bend. So this right here helps distribute the load a little bit more. Now again, I haven't gone and fully covered this area up because I'm still working on everything. But when it comes to the main superstructure load, I just can't rely on the sidewalls to distribute everything, because if I don't, because these walls are still pretty thin and they can only handle so much. So what I had to do is I had to take this wooden dowel, and if I go here, you can see I have it basically attached directly to the spar in the middle. I have 2 90 degrees keeping it in place, and I have a little simple popsicle stick also keeping it in place. That is more than enough to keep the spar next. It's more than enough to keep the spar in its place, also with a heat ton of hot glue. But of course, when it comes to this, I can't have all the stress going onto one little simple point. So I had to make these little outriggers, or whatever you call them, to help distribute the load properly. So the load can be distributed into the here, and then distributed into the base right here, or distributed into the bottom base right here. And then of course I do something for here, because again, these need to distribute the load down into the bottom. But as you can tell, these are pretty freaking long, so over time these will probably eventually just buckle over the stress. So I had to go in there again and also add some more reinforcement to right here. This reinforcement brings the load down into here. So when it comes to these, we have load distribution down into here, and then load distribution down into the side walls that go down to here, and then also load distribution down to here if it gets too stressed. And of course, same thing on the other side. And when it comes to this, I also had to make sure that this was properly at the right height, so the car can actually sit right and actually pull it. This also does put a tad bit of pressure down on the cuck truck, so it can actually grip whatever terrain I'm on, either it being carpet, linoleum, or asphalt or concrete outside, for if I'm taking her outside at the convention, because the conventions I go to, there's sometimes 2 separate buildings that I have to go to and from. So yeah, there's also that. So I have these little guys right here going to the very front. That helps keep this that helps keep this in the proper area, and it also does help with distribution in the front too, because this all still goes directly to the back here. And I haven't had any problems with the front so far because again, there's no major gaping hole, and this is all a solid piece. So I'm probably going to, though I might actually go and add another wooden dowel there, but I don't know due to weight concerns. And plus, again, I haven't noticed any issues with the actual front bowing and whatnot. But again, when it comes to these builds, I have to make sure that the loads are properly distributed so it doesn't have a failure. And that's one of the things I don't like about building these life-size characters like Minmay and Freya. Usually the areas where they have the biggest load area, usually the areas where they have the biggest load issues, give me a second, is either at the shoes themselves or the ankles. Because as you can tell with both Freya and Minmay, I had to add some extra wood to make sure that the ankles or the shoes don't collapse over time. Now, of course, Minmay was my first one that I built, so I didn't know how to properly distribute the loads. When it comes to Freya, I had a more proper idea, but I still had to add in some wooden popsicle sticks to help distribute the load, hence the ones on the back. But I did manage to hide them, unlike I did with Minmay, because again, her load distribution is a lot different than Freya's. And of course, when it came to Freya, I had to make sure that everything could properly distributed because of this freaking dress. This thing, even though it's made out of paper, it weighs quite a bit. And of course, if I actually move her around, she has quite a bit of mass whenever I move her compared to a Minmay. Though Minmay does walk around a little bit more, but again, load distributions are completely different on each character. And of course, when it comes to Shirley or Ronka, whenever I build those two characters, their load distributions are going to be completely different compared to Freya and Minmay. And of course, also with Congo. The only nice thing about Congo is that she's in this particular pose. So, I mean, I don't have to really worry about load distribution on the legs. I just got to make sure the legs actually don't buckle and that they're just relatively sturdy. The only place I had to really worry about load distribution with Congo, give me a second, was basically from right around here all the way up to about here. So when it comes to her load distribution, it more or less just goes directly down to her butt. So I had to make sure this area is relatively robust. Of course, I mean, again, there's not much weight here compared to, again, Minmay and Freya. So the load distribution for Congo isn't as important, but I still have to make sure that everything's relatively sturdy. So again, I still went in there and made proper let's see if I can actually show you. Proper things to make it so everything's properly distributed and everything's in place. And of course, I don't have anything for it. Of course, I really can't show you anything here because, again, I have 3 rare earth magnets that line up with the dress. So, yeah. But again, load distributions are very critical when it comes to these life-size builds I do. So, even though I don't go to college, and I'm just some autistic 28-year-old that just does random shitty YouTube videos, I do know a good chunk about this kind of stuff when it comes to at least load distribution for these life-size figurines I do. Now, if I was doing building work and whatnot, I wouldn't know what to do. That's far outside what I can do. But I do like pushing myself every single time I build these things. And as you saw in the other video I uploaded recently, I just got them making these little things. These are going to hold the turrets. And the one thing right now is that when it comes to the load on this thing, for the most part it wants to go forward due to the speaker. But I'm going to be adding an extra piece to the back for the second turret. And what's going to happen is this thing's going to want to have to go this way whenever it give me a second, let's see. Yeah. it's going to have to go, yeah, when it comes to the way this thing's designed, when I get the second turret on, it's going to have to go this way because there will be more weight pushed to the back and then the front. So I'm going to have to figure some solution out to make sure this thing doesn't constantly just jerk up whenever I have the other turret on. I'm pretty certain the relatively powerful rare earth magnets I'm going to be using for this should theoretically stop that from happening, because again, these magnets here, again, I also showed these off in the video that I just uploaded. These magnets are incredibly powerful, but still, I have no idea if they can actually withstand the amount of force that the thing will be producing when the second turret's on. Because again, it's going to want to go like this. So those magnets don't have the power to actually stop it. I'm going to have to figure something else out. I have a few ideas in my head, but I'm not going to get into that unless I actually have to do it. But like I said, when it comes to these builds, a lot of work has to be put into them. Even though, again, I'm just some autistic 20-something-year-old. I really need to stop saying I have autism, even though I don't know. I'm not trying to get pity or anything, so please don't think that. I'm just stating facts. But yeah, I mean, this is a rambly video, and I guess I can end it here since I pretty much said what I want to say.